First of all, there's making the sukkah, right? The sukkah has to be underneath the sky, can't be under any trees or any overhang. It's anything that hangs over. You have to check out with, sometimes it could be a problem, sometimes not. You shouldn't make a sukkah on somebody else's property or on public property. It gets questionable. First we make the walls and then we put on the schach. When you put on the schach, you're supposed to have in mind you're putting it on for the sake of shade, l'shem tzel, because that's what the sukkah is, supposed to give you shade. Our minhag is to make 4 complete walls. If you can make less technically, but halachically it's very complicated, the laws of the walls, we make 4 complete walls. Our minhag is we don't make a special floor for the sukkah. If you're eating on a lawn, let's say, maybe it's better to put down something because so that no water goes in the grass. But to make a special floor for the sukkah like other people do, we don't do. We also don't decorate the sukkah. And other people have all things decorating the sukkah. Another thing is when we make the sukkah, some people have a shlak for rain. Make sure the shlak is open when you put on the schach. Another thing is the David Hamayim, the thing that keeps the schach in place. You shouldn't use anything that you can't use for schach. So let's say you have a mat and you want to hold it down. So take 2 small pieces of wood and then tie those 2 pieces of wood together. But if let's say you're gonna take a plastic, what do you call it, twist tie, whatever, and connect let's say the mat, whatever it is, to the actual sukkah. So it's fine. But l'chatchila we try not to hold the schach in place with anything that cannot be used for schach, either that is from kabel tumah, that doesn't go from the ground, things like that. Now another thing is a whole siman in Shulchan Aruch about using the sukkah. Let's say the schach, you want to use some of the schach or some of the walls for whatever it is on sukkahs. Let's say a person wants a toothpick, right? So he'll break off a small piece in the wall of the sukkah from the schach. You're not allowed to become, it's a muktzah, it's a whole thing, even if it falls, many different details here. I mean, it's not so common, so I'm not going to get into it. Those people that hang up decorations also becomes a whole thing of muktzahs, the whole way they have to make a certain condition to be able to use it. Even after Sukkot, it says you shouldn't step on the schach. You shouldn't use it, do anything that's not nice. That's bizoyin. That's a disgrace for it. Okay, then we have this year we have to make a native tafshilin. We also have to make those people that, let's say, don't have an indoor sukkah. They have to make a eruv, to carry. So, that's a whole separate discussion, a whole separate set of laws. You have to know how to do it right. Just mention a few things. The string has to be on top of the wood, not, has to be on top of the woods. The wood should be straight, shouldn't be like bending. There's many, it's a whole subject on its own. It's a bit difficult to discuss all the things. And if you have any doubt, you check with your local rabbi to see to make sure that you're arranging everything properly. Now we have to make eruv tashil, make a eruv. The candles we light in the sukkah. The minhag is that the candles for Shabbos and Yom Tov they light in the sukkah. That's the way it was set up. Now, the Lord sitting in the sukkah, the Torah says, "Basukkah is teishu." You should dwell in the sukkah 7 days. Technically, means you should live in the sukkah. So whatever you would do at home, you would do in the sukkah. You should keep the sukkah nice, which means if you have nice things, nice dishes, nice things, that you bring it in the sukkah. Now, it says dirty dishes after you finish eating, don't keep them in the sukkah. Take them out. You shouldn't wash dishes in the sukkah also. You could cups, just drinking cups, just to rinse out. You're allowed to do in the sukkah, but you shouldn't wash dishes in the sukkah. It's a bit of a disgrace. Mitzvahs, you should eat, drink be metayel, if you want just to spend your time, do it in the sukkah. If you want to speak to your friend, do it in the sukkah. We don't sleep in the sukkah, even though the Rebbe has osich, and they're not going to get into that. Somebody that when he davening, let's say he doesn't have a minyan or he missed a minyan. So if he's able to daven with the same kavanah in the sukkah as he would do it at home, he should daven in the sukkah. The same thing as somebody that's learning Torah, if he's able to learn, if you're learning in the Beis Medrash, you don't have to go to a sukkah, but if you're able to learn in the sukkah, just as good as you could learn at home, you should learn in the sukkah. Unless somebody has, some people, they like to learn at home because it's more spacious. The more spacious it is, they're more able to think straight and and help the learning. So then they don't have to sit in the sukkah. Technically, you don't have to sit in the sukkah when it rains. Besides the first night of Yom Tov, this is halachically. But our custom is that we eat in the sukkah even when it rains. Another thing is, the sukkah is one of the mitzvahs. There's 3 mitzvahs that not only the fulfillment of the mitzvah is important, but the intention you have in mind when you do the mitzvah is important. They're tzitzis, tefillin, and sukkah. When you put on tzitzis, you're supposed to have in mind to remember the mitzvahs, like it says, remember the mitzvahs. When you put on tefillin, you have to have in mind, like the Alter Rebbe writes, the kantat of Shibud Alev HaMoyach, that in the tefillin we speak about the fact that Hashem is one, He took us out of Mitzrayim, we're subjugating our mind and our heart to Him. When we sit in the sukkah also, we have to have in mind that why we're sitting in the sukkah. To remember going out of Mitzrayim. Why did we sit in the sukkah? Because Hashem protected us with the clouds of glory that gave us shade. So when we sit in the sukkah, we're supposed to... It's not like we're just doing a mitzvah. It's something the Torah says, L'man yedu, that the mitzvah of sukkah is that we should remember the miracles Hashem did with us. When you sit in the sukkah, you're supposed to have that in mind. Now, a person's house, a person could say it's sukkah, so my house could be a mess for Shabbos and Yom Tov. It says, even though your sukkah is your main house, but you should still put on a white tablecloth, Shabbos tablecloth at home, even though you're eating in the sukkah. Now, the blessing of Leishiv Basukkah. When do we make a blessing of Leishiv Basukkah? We make a blessing of Leishiv Basukkah is only if you're eating an amount of food that you're obligated to eat in the sukkah. So, what is that? That is bread or mezainis, more than the size of an egg. When we make hamoitzi lachem nar sabayrim minei mezainis, and then we make leishir basukkah. Unless by kiddush we make it before hamoitzi. And then everything else that you do during the day is all included. All gets included in the bracha leishir basukkah you made when you ate. Even if you're sitting in the sukkah for a while before you eat, we say the bracha that you make when you eat. That patters, that includes everything that you did in the sukkah before. Now, if a person was, let's say, in the sukkah and he left the sukkah for a number of hours, so then, if he was outside of the sukkah for an hour or two, he goes back in the sukkah and he's going to eat again bread or mezainis more than the size of an egg. He has to make another leishir basukkah. And even if he returned right away, but if at the time he left the sukkah he had in mind to be away for for 2 hours or so, and then he came back right away, as long as he had in mind to leave for like 2 hours, he has to make again a bracha leishir basukkah if he continues eating hamoitzi or mezainis more than an egg. Other things you don't have to make a bracha for, and technically allowed to eat them outside of the sukkah. If you want to eat potato chips or popcorn or drink water, halachically there's no obligation to eat it in the sukkah. But our minhag, particularly minhag Chabad, is that we're very careful not to eat and drink water, to eat or drink even water outside the sukkah, even on Shmini Atzeres, even when it rains. Now, what happens if you want to drink mashke? You sit down by a l'chaim, you sit down to make l'chaim and you're drinking alcoholic beverages. So some people, people make parties just in alcohol. They don't, even though they're not making a meal. So you have to drink it in the sukkah. That even according to not only according to our minhag, but even according to Shulchan Aruch, you have to drink that in the sukkah. But the question is if you have to make a leishay basukah on it or not. So the Rebbe says, you don't make an leishay basukah, but it's best to drink your alcoholic beverages or other drinks that people would sometimes get together to drink, to like sit down and gather together to drink. You should only drink it in the sukkah that you already made a bracha on it leishay basukah that day. So in order that there shouldn't be any questions of whether you have to make a leishay basukah or not. Now, what happens if you go out from one sukkah and you go into another sukkah? So then you also have to make a leishay basukah. If you're eating there, mezainis or hamoitzi more than a kebeya. Now, even if you don't, let's say you're going into a sukkah and you want to schmooze with somebody, you want to have a good time in somebody else's sukkah, and you're not eating anything over there, you still have to make a leishay basukah. Because in the sukkah where you eat, so we say that everything that you do, you're eating, you're schmoozing, you're drinking, whatever it might be, is all included in the leishay basukah you made when you ate. But if you're going to somebody else's sukkah and you're not eating there or anything, and you're enjoying your stay over there, so you would have to make a bracha leishay basukah on that, even though you're not eating anything over there. Now, what happens if a person ate and he forgot to make a leishay basukah? So then he can make a leishay basukah even after he finished eating, as long as he's sitting in the sukkah, because even the sitting that he's sitting in the sukkah afterwards is also a mitzvah. Now, Kiddush. The first night first they say leishay basukah and then shechiyanu. The second night they say shechiyanu first and then leishay basukah. Why? Because the shechiyanu on the first night goes on two things. It goes on the Yom Tov. We say thank Hashem that we're here when the Yom Tov arrived, and it also goes on the mitzvah of Sukkah. So we make first leishay basukah and then shechiyanu. The second night, the shechiyanu that we're making the second night doesn't go on the Sukkah because we already made it on the Sukkah the first night. So we say first shechiyanu and then leishay basukah. The custom is when we say leishay basukah, it's a minhag to look up at the schach. To have in mind, like I told you, that we're sitting in the sukkah to remember the miracles Hashem did with us when He took us out of Mitzrayim. Now, the third night of Sukkot this year is Shabbos. Now, on Shabbos, we usually say Shalom Aleichem and Eishes Chayil and everything, but this year, we say it quietly, and we start from Yom HaShishi. Now, we also dip during Sukkot until they shine it up, we dip the bread in honey. Even by Kiddush of day, we say leishay basukah after Kiddush, not after Hamoitzi. Now women, also I'm just saying another thing, women sometimes they come into the Sukkah to hear Kiddush and then they go inside to eat. But they should make sure to have some mokim su'udah, to have at least to eat a kazayis or something inside the Sukkah of Hamoitzi or of Mezainis. If not, it becomes a whole question if they're yotzeh, the mokim, the Kiddush, because the Kiddush has to be in the place that you eat the meal. So, to avoid any questions, they should eat it in the sukkah, at least the kazayas. Now, during the first night of Sukkot, there's an obligation to eat a kazayas of bread in the sukkah. In other words, the rest of Sukkot, technically, there's if it rains or other things, there's no chiyuv to go and eat in the sukkah. The first night is a chiyuv to go and eat in the sukkah. Even if it rains, you have to go and make kiddush in the sukkah, make a leishay basukah after shechiyanu, and eat a kazayis of bread. And then our minhag is that we eat the whole meal in the sukkah. But even according to Shulchan Aruch, the first kazayis, you have to eat a kazayis in the sukkah, and then you could go inside to finish the meal if it's raining and it's uncomfortable to sit in the sukkah. But you have to have a mind and say how much they're going to go inside. Also, the first night you shouldn't eat until after Tzeisak Echavim. And you should eat it. We compare this to the matzah on the night of Pesach through Gezei Sheva, whole thing. So we should make, some people they make Kiddush early on Shabbos. The first night of Sukkot, they should make sure to wait until after Tzeisak Echavim, and also to make sure to eat before Chatzos, before midnight. Sometimes a person was running around the whole night of Sukkot, comes right after Ma'ariv, he goes and takes a nap until 3 o'clock in the morning. So make sure the chaparayim before chatzos. The second night of Sukkot, over here outside of Eretz Yisrael, the second night was also Yom Tov. So then there's also chiyuv to eat a kazayis of bread in the Sukkah. But here Shulchan Aruch says that if it rains, from the letter of the law, you're exempt from the obligation of going to the Sukkah. Somebody wants, he could eat his meal in his house, then he could go and eat a kazayis in the Sukkah, but he shouldn't make a bracha leishir b'Sukkah. And this is according to the letter of the law. We always mak petit inside the Sukkah. Then there's the Ushpizin, right? We all know that there's the Rebbe would always speak about every night of Sukkot. When you sit in the Sukkah, you have Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, Moshe, Nara, Yosef, and David join us. Then we have the Chassidish Ushpizin, the Baal Shem, the Maggid, Alter Rebbe, the Mittel Rebbe, and the son of the Rebbe, Marash Rebbe, Rashab. In many communities, they have a nusach that they say the night of Sukkah. Some people even have it on the walls of the Sukkah. You see that they're inviting the Ushpizin to come inside. But that's our minig. We don't actually we think about it, but we don't actually say it. Now it says that the Ushpizin, you have 7 guests. You have so they obviously not, they don't need to eat. But it says that the amount of food that they would have eaten, they should give to poor people. So it says that the Ushpizin there's a whole thing in the Zohar that the Ushpizin, want that you should give the amount of food that you would have offered them, you should give to poor people or whatever. You should at least, help out other people, even if not eating it in your home. It says first, the whole thing of the Zohar here, the whole thing he brings down, that it says Rab Chaim Yital used to give Erev Sukkos already for poor people the amount of food that he would have given to the Ushpizin. And then if somebody does this whole thing, this psukim that they say, a lot of my Morim Chassidus explain different psukim the Ushpizin say. It's also a custom to say in a divrei Torah about the Ushpizin, like the first night to say things about Avram, and the second night about Yitzchak. The Rebbe in the Sichas, the Rebbe spoke. After a certain point, he started explaining every night about the Ushpizin, about the Chassidish Ushpizin. There's Yalav Yavai, Birchos HaMazon throughout the whole Sukkos. Simchas Beis HaSheva, right? This already starts the first night of Sukkos. Even though in the Beis HaMikdash itself, the first night they wouldn't dance because they wouldn't use music. But tonight, these days, hopefully Mashiach will be here. But then anyway, we might be able to have the first night also. But we start the first night of Yom Tov.